Now, in the area of security where, or in today's businesses where it's not if you will get breached, is when you will get breached, and incident response becomes very, very important. Now, you can't, it's very difficult to stop a breach from happening, but how you respond to that breach will very likely define whether you're successful or you failed. Now, your incident response will define specific areas: who speaks, what is done, when it is done, how the incident is handled, how it is reported, and so on. Very, very important for security. Standard configuration. This is where you blueprint your entire network, you blueprint your systems. You create a template for how everything is set up, everything is configured in the network. This will allow you to spot anomalies. So if you listed 5 applications that should be installed on your desktop, and suddenly there's a 6th one installed on there, then you know you have an incident to deal with, because this is a breach of your standard configuration. Audit and review. You have to conduct periodic audit of everything that you have in your organization, not just financial audit or process audit, but you also have to conduct IT and IT security audits in particular. Now, the audits are in place, just checks and balances, just ensure that the standard configuration that you've set out, the processes that you've set out, the policies that you have in place regarding security, those are actually working the same way that you intend for them to work, and you conduct reviews and fix the shortcomings. Monitoring, again, another important process. Here, you just watch what's happening on the network. Look at who's talking to who, when they're doing, what files are being transmitted, who has privileged access, who doesn't have privileged access, and what they're doing with those access. Now, this is the area where, when you mention security, a lot of the attention is focused on this in this area, and this is the technology area. Now, there are some fruits that are hanging low on my tree, and they're hanging low on my tree for a reason. Now, these are the systems that we believe, even our years of experience and practice, and within the industry, these are things that, at a minimum, you must have them in place if you have any intentions of protecting your environment or protecting your organization. Anti-malware systems, there's been some debate about whether it's effective or not. The truth is, it's effective to an extent. It's signature-based, so it can only protect you from things that it knows. But do you want a situation where you're running around chasing viruses that this system could take care of automatically? Encryption, today's world, if any data is moving within your organization, whether internally or externally, it's important to encrypt it so that people who should not see it or should not have access to it will not see it or have access to it. Vulnerability scanning and patch management needs to go together. Vulnerability scanning and patch management, very, 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 very important, and it gives you big eyes, if I can use that phrase. It gives you big eyes into what is happening with your network. So you run a vulnerability scan and a penetration test, it shows you all your weaknesses in all your systems in your network. So you don't have to wonder if the laptop that you're using is weak. You don't have to wonder if your server is weak. It gives you a list of every single weakness that's detected with those systems. Work together with patch management. Now, patch management will assist you in fixing those vulnerabilities that you found there. Now, as you move up through the tree, there are things that you do as the organization mature. You implement intrusion prevention systems. You implement network access controls. I've been to organizations before, and when you walk into the lobby, there's a port right in next to the reception area, and I can just plug my computer in there. Once I plug my computer in there, I have an IP address, and once I have an IP address, I have access to your network. I've been to organizations before where they have corporate and guest wireless, and somehow the corporate password is the same as the guest wireless password. Network access control will actually assist you in fixing those things. So even if the port is there in the lobby, my machine is not authorized to be on your network. So even if I plug it in, I will have to meet some criteria. Your administrator will have to allow me in. I'll have to just have some sign-off to get that in. Now, we spoke a little bit before about advanced persistent threats. Now, the 2 fruits at the top of the tree are 2 effective fruits to defend against advanced persistent threats. Data loss prevention, network behavior analysis. Now, an advanced persistent threat will sit in the network, as I said before, and it will sit there quietly, sending out short bursts of data, short spouts of data. It may not draw the attention of any monitoring systems that you have in place. What it will do, however, is will affect behavioral changes. So we know Marcel Smart works in accounts. We know that over the last 6 years, she's worked. She comes to work at 8 o'clock. She logs in. She looks at a particular file. She does some other stuff in the day. She logs out at 4 o'clock and she goes home and she does not log back in until 8 o'clock the next morning. Network behavior analysis will tell you that at 6:45, somebody is logging in with Marcel's account. Now, you will know right away based on Marcel's pattern and Marcel's behavior that that is not her. Because for the last 6 years, this is how she's operated. So a flag is raised. So when these guys sit in the network quietly and they try to connect to a database server, they try to connect to an application server, the network behavior analysis will tell you that this is an abnormal behavior. And it will raise a flag for your administrator or whoever you deem necessary in the organization to get that alert so it can be handled effectively. Your data loss prevention works, again, with network behavior analysis. Your data loss prevention prevents your guarded data within the network from leaving the network. So you classify your data, you classify what's public, what's private, what's secret, and so on, and you make those classifications on how that data is moved. So something that is private, for argument's sake, can only be copied from this server to this server, and the access is only controlled by this list of people. It controls things like can the document be printed, can it be emailed, can it be converted to PDF, and so on. So it really controls the movement of data around your organization, and you can define explicitly how you want that data to move around. The next area we'll touch on is people. Now, people invariably, or admittedly, the weakest link in the security chain, and we're the weakest link because we're driven largely by our emotions, even if some of us tell us no. People will do things that you just do not expect them to do. You'll tell them 100 times, don't click on links in email, don't download attachments from people that you don't know, and so on. But our natural curiosity is actually to do that. Valentine's Day, Christmas, Mother's Day, Father's Day. There's just something about us that want to know that, you're appreciated. So, if you don't get flowers or you don't get card on Valentine's Day, some people might say, boy, I'm fine with that. But if you look back at yourself deep down, you're actually not fine with it. So you'll get an email, from your significant other on Valentine's Day, an e-card professing love and all of that stuff. And you're excited about it, so you go ahead and click on it, and it just explodes in your face. Not what you want to do. So how we combat that? We can't change. It's difficult to change people's behavior or to change people. So what we do is we educate them, bring some awareness to the threat landscape. Just give them some idea of these are some of the things that can happen to you if you do these things. So just make a short prescription. You don't have to. It's not a situation where you have to be directive, because once you start to be directive, then people start resisting. So it's just a matter of presenting them, educating and training them, letting them know of some of the pitfalls that exist in the internet, let them know how it will affect them. And if you try to connect it with them personally, some examples that I've used in the past when I'm speaking to corporate entities, I kind of try and relate it to a personal situation for them. So I'll ask, for argument's sake, how would you feel if your credit card gets compromised because you clicked on a link that you thought was the bank, and you entered your banking information, and now somebody has your credit card information? How would you feel if that happens to you, and your credit card is maxed out, and you're on the hook for that until you can prove that it's not you? And the eyes kind of open and say, oh, okay. So you start to think about what will happen to you. Now, what that does is that behavior then transcends into the organization, because now that person who has access to the company's credit card will also start to think, if I'm on the hook for a couple of $1,000 on my credit card, and the company's credit card is a couple of $100,000, you start to get a shift in the behavior. Now, there are malicious people out there who will take advantage of that, not discounting those guys, but the general populace, you'll start to get a shift in the way they think. Education and training, very, very important. The top 4 strategies to prevent 85% of all breaches, so the number that we presented before on previous slides, these are the top 4 things that we can do to prevent those things from happening. Again, I spoke about application whitelist, which works in tandem with system hardening. So you just create a list of all, your business. You know what you should have in your business. You know what you need to function. Only have those applications approved and installed on your systems. Patch everything. Most people stop at just patching the operating system. So the second Tuesday of every month, rather, Microsoft releases their patches and people install at that time. But I forget that your web applications need to be patched. Java needs to be patched. Flash needs to be patched. Every single application that you've installed on your machine, more often than not, the manufacturer will release an update for it. And that update, more often than not, is to close a security hole. Restrict admin privileges. I know for system admins, it's actually easy for them to just give users admin privileges for them to operate. And if you use the example of an executive traveling across the world, he might be in Asia or parts of Europe, and something has happened to his machine, and he can't fix it because he can't access it because he does not have administrative access. Now think about the reverse of what is likely to happen. He's in Asia, which is an Eastern Europe, which is a hotbed for terrorist activity and a hotbed for cyber criminals. His risk level has increased by just him physically being in that location. He's going to connect to a wireless network. That wireless network may be trusted or untrusted, and he's logging into his machine with admin credentials. Now, a typical example is a lot of people who use Outlook actually use Outlook with the preview pane to the side of the window. Now, how many people know that once you scroll past an email, if it has a malicious self-executing attachment, you actually don't have to click on that email for the attachment to execute in the background. Once you scroll on it and it pops open in the preview pane, then the executable runs in the background. Now, if you're running as an administrator, that executable will continue to install in the background without your knowledge. If you're not an administrator, almost all the times it pops up and asks you to enter admin credentials to continue. Now, that will alert you that something bad has happened. So restrict admin privileges. And the truth is, you don't need admin privileges to do your daily function. You don't need admin privileges to check email. You don't need admin privileges to check, to create Word documents, spreadsheets, and so on. You don't need application administration privileges to run your enterprise applications. If your exec is in a foreign country and he is at a point where he needs admin access to his machine, something catastrophic has happened. It's not simply just him needing access to a document. He actually has a bigger problem than just needing access to a document.